Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports meets life inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Heritage Hill there for you on 3149 Sweet Road in Pompey, New York, in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York. The beautiful majesty, right? That natural tapestry that God created here in central and upstate New York. You can go out to 3149 Sweet Road to the Heritage Hill Brew House and see what it's all about. You can pet the animals. You can walk around the grounds. You can obviously go to the brew house and get some awesome drinks right there on site, on location. The food is fantastic. They've been doing chicken barbecues. You can walk around the barn area as well. A lot of great sit in the hammocks like Lily and I did. A lot of great things to do out at the brew house. And then you can go to their newest location that is centrally located to those of you in Clay, Cicero, Baldwinsville, North Syracuse, Mattydale, and so on and so forth. Right outside the airport, within a couple minutes of the Syracuse-Hancock International Airport, you'll find Heritage Hill North down the road from CNS High School. And we do all of our CNS North Stars broadcasts on site, on location, at Heritage Hill North, so you can come and see them on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse. With that being said, we have a jam-packed show here for you today. We have a UTSA. You see this shirt on, you're like, Dan, what is that? That's a Roadrunner, baby. And the Roadrunners are here with us. They've been here with us these last few years. I've spent a lot of time speaking with VP for Intercollegiate Athletics, Lisa Campos. She is going to be here with us this morning. And before that, we're going to talk with the head coach that they have there right there at UTSA, University of Texas, San Antonio. Jeff Traylor, the head coach that has done some good things in a short amount of time. So Lisa Campos and the team made sure that they got that deal extended. And Jeff Traylor leading the Roadrunners in their second season in the American Athletic Conference. You'll see my extensive conversation with Jeff Traylor first, including our rapid fire, putting each other on the hot seat and having some fun. And then at around 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Lisa Campos, my special with her, will be here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And that'll be hour number one, UTSA, in our preview of the American Athletic Conference, speaking with coaches and student athletes all throughout the conference. So very excited to be able to share that with you here this morning. And then in hour number two, as we always do on a Thursday, we'll jump into our conversation with PJ. PJ, as Papa Joe joins the broadcast here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to speak on the world of Major League Baseball, as well as talking with us about what is going on in the college football world, his thoughts on the expansion of the college football playoff, and then we'll get into some conversation on the Jacksonville Jaguars as they're in training camp, getting set for the season. So a lot of great stuff coming up in hour number two with Papa Joe from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So with all that being said, we appreciate you being here, hanging out with us where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take a step aside in the Heritage Hill Studios. We'll be right back with our special number one of a two-part special with the UTSA Roadrunners right after this inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse-Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from our Travel Heritage Hill Studios. I am here with Jeff Traylor, the head coach of the UTSA Roadrunners. Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing very well. Now, I got to sit in with you last year for the first time to get to speak with you, and there's been a lot of respect, in my opinion, from the outside looking in at the program. There's been a lot of hope and respect for UTSA coming into the American. Have you felt that there's a high expectation for this program?
Yeah, we're proud of it. I mean, the last 4 years, and we talked to our team about it, they're not really getting picked on what they've done. They haven't done anything yet. They're getting picked off the last 4 years. And in the last 4 years, we're 29-4 in conference.
Yeah.
We've won 2 conference championships. We're 27-3 at home. We played to the very last week for the championship. Every year we've been here. Twice we didn't get to the championship game, but twice we did. But we were playing for it, and we're proud of that. But again, I'm repeating, that's nothing this year's team's done. That's what the last 4 years have done, and that's why we're picked so high again. It should be where we were the first year, where we had nobody picked on the preseason conference team, and we were picked last or next to last in the polls.
When you look at what this road has been like for you at UTSA, there's a lot of, in this realignment in every single year, the poaching of coaches and wanting coaches to move to the quote-unquote power and so on and so forth. Why have you stayed so committed to UTSA and Lisa Campos, and why has this been the place for you?
It starts with the city. I just believe that the city of San Antonio is uniquely different. I think our potential is unlimited just because we've only been playing football 13 years. I want you to think about that in comparison to some of these storied programs we're going against. My oldest football, alumni is probably 31, 32 years old. I mean, so that's just it's a remarkable story. Dr. Campos and I have a shared vision of what the student athlete should be like. We see that we're uniquely aligned in that. Our president has continued to invest in our program, and our board of regents has at UTSA, and our boosters, quite frankly, and our fans. I mean, our games are really, really exciting to play, especially on a Saturday. It's tough on us in Texas, and we play on Fridays because Friday Night Lights is a real thing in our state.
Yeah.
And our fans are going to go support their high school on Friday nights. But when you play us on Saturday, our place is rocking, and it's a really great place to be. So all those factors have, made me feel very loyal to that place. And I would say it's the loyalty has been given to me as well as me back to them.
We heard from Tim Pernetti, the new commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, and he mentioned Lisa Campos and said the future commissioner of the AAC. What do you think about his respect for her leadership?
Well, she's just a unique lady. She's a very, very humble, kind person to start with. She has a servant's mindset, and I think people just see that. And it's just refreshing in college football to see someone that's so grounded and about the student athlete, and that's what people see, and that's what I've worked with, which is amazing. We're going on 5 years together now.
You and I last year talked about the importance of family and how much you value that and how it goes far beyond, and even at dinner last year, just kind of extending and speaking on stories of your family, just what you can say about how paramount that is in a world where we're talking about money so much and about what people can get and this, that, and the third when it comes to materials, that we keep relationships at the forefront.
I think it's helped me tremendously. I can remember when I started coaching many, many years ago, people telling me it'll change when you have children. I'm like, oh, what do they know, right? Then I had kids, and it changed me. But then when I started teaching my children and coaching my children, well, now my children are, I've got a 31-year-old, I've got a 27-year-old, I've got a 24-year-old. And you just see the world differently. And when I coach my players, we talk often about my own personal children because experiences I've gone through, I kind of know what my student athletes are thinking, because my own children tell me how crazy their father is at times. So I know what my own players are thinking about me and some of my old school philosophies and things that children or young men, young ladies don't see the world maybe the way we do for guys that have raised 3 children.
For you, when you look at that family and the extension of that, we look at the transfer portal and NIL, those relationships that have always been so paramount and important to you, what can you say about how UTSA has been affected or not affected when it comes to NIL and the transfer portal, looking at the importance of building a relationship with a kid and not just simply trying to buy a player?
Yeah, and obviously we've lost 3 players in 4 years, and those always hurt. We miss those guys, but we're excited for them. But we've also picked up probably 30 players in those 4 years. So I think it's very hypocritical for just to stay on the negative.
Yeah.
Does it strain the relationships? Possibly some, because you're always doing some of that. Yeah, I would say that strains it would be a way that, but it also makes it a tighter relationship in the end because of all the things you had to do to keep the young man or talk him through some things. And I don't want them to stay if they don't want to play for me. I don't want them to come play for us when we're recruiting. I tell them all the time when I'm recruiting them, I'm not going to beg you. I'm not going to do the crazy things that maybe some of these guys will do. I believe like-minded people surround themselves with like-minded people, and I think our players sense a difference about me and our staff and how we treat them. And like today, we've got Jamal Liggins and Oscar Cardenas here. Those guys have started at probably every game for me in my coaching career. They could have gotten in the transfer portal and made way more money going to other schools. Do they make decent money at UTSA? Yes, they do. But they're making a fraction of what they've been making other places. They've never asked me for a dime. They've never asked for a raise. They're just loyal soldiers. And it was the same with Wisdom and Harris before them. And I just think that can't be lost in this. There are many, many stories of guys that are doing the right thing. For some reason, we want to paint this as the wrong thing for the 3 that left. And I don't think that's fair. We're the ones, the adults, that have put these kids in these decisions. The kids didn't do this, the adults did.
So as you look forward here and we look at this season specifically, when you look at that leadership, you said you have loyal soldiers that are here with you representing UTSA. To expand and look at offense, defense, and special teams as a whole, who are some of those leaders that you trust on the field this season to spread your message in that continuity?
Yeah, well, offensively, we've got, even though our quarterback's going to be different, both those guys have played last year because Frank was hurt last year a lot. So Eddie and Owen both command respect. Obviously, Oscar back at tight end. We've got a lineman back that we feel good about. We have Corey back at right guard. We've got Vinley back who started for us. We've got Luke Lopez back who started. We've got, our receiving core. We did lose a great one in Josh Cephas. He's with the Jaguars right now.
I'm a Jaguar fan, by the way, so I'm very happy when I saw his name come.
Yeah, our running back room's all back. Kavoria and Robert and Rocco. And we've added some young talent there as well. So, receivers, Amador's back, McEwen's back, Willie McCoy is back. We feel good about our team. We know who we are. We know who we've got to replace. But we feel good about our team.
So before we get into rapid fire, where you get to ask some questions as a coach, which typically never happens, for this conference, the leadership, I know that UTSA has been in it such a short amount of time, but you obviously spent time with Mike Oresco, and now we have Tim Pernetti. What can you say about the leadership of Mike Oresco, who helped with his staff to bring UTSA into the American and saw the value in you, and then Tim Pernetti as well?
Yeah, Mike was just such a fireball and had such passion for this league.
Yeah.
It was just a breath of fresh air when I got to meet Mike because his strong belief in this brand and the work they had done before we were allowed to come in with them. In passing the torch to Tim, when he met with Dr. Campos and I at UTSA, I told her when he left, I had hope. Like I really felt like we had hope. He has a great vision for some possibilities of working with entities that, obviously I would not understand that world, but he understands it very well. I'll stay in my lane and coach the football team and let Tim and Dr. Campos handle all that. But I told her, it was an exact quote to her when he walked out was, I feel hope. And I think he understands where the new world is going in college football. He's going to be a great voice and a leader, for our league.
Well, let's jump into rapid fire. You get the opportunity to ask me literally anything, football or life related, and we'll go back and forth for a couple. So you get to ask the first question.
Do you read?
I'm starting to do it more because I have too many books that I have in my house that I want to read. One of them is actually Billy Crystal, Still Fooling Them, and I'm finishing that. But I have coaches handing me books now. So my question. Go ahead.
Best book you've ever read?
This might sound very cliche, but I do a thing with reading. I have a strong faith, so I have. I'll do this piece with the Bible where I'll just open it up to a random page and try to find something in there that I can learn and grow from and then implement. So I've been doing that more often now, and I would say probably my connection to that at the moment, and then I like comedy stuff, so I would say
what would you do if you were doing a Bible devotion with your wife and we write our thoughts in our devotion to each other, but the husband has done 100% of his and she's only done half of hers? How would you handle that situation?
I think that I think God knows what you've done. God knows what she's done. So I don't think you have to do much. I think
shaming her on the radio, probably not a good idea.
No.
In front of my boss who's going to tell her.
I mean, the best thing that I can say is I'm sure that in all the work that you've done, she's equaled you somewhere else and deserves to be respected.
Now I'm going to brag on her. Today is the first morning she beat me to getting it done. So okay. I'm proud of her. We're getting somewhere.
Okay. My question back to you is, if you had to write a book about everything that you've learned, what would you call it?
Probably serving. I just know the greatest joy in my life is when I take care of people. And that's to teach people to serve. I'm not sure you can serve if you don't have a proper relationship with some spirituality. And I'm not trying to shove my spirituality down anybody's throat, but I don't know that it's possible to truly serve until you serve.
What's your next question?
Who's the team you watch on Saturdays and cheer for in college football?
That's tough, but I mean, my hometown, my whole life, I'm from Syracuse, New York. So I have to shout out my hometown, but I will say that it's increasingly difficult to just pick a place when you get to know people like yourself and you get to know people like Dr. Campos, and and when you have a logo like the Roadrunner that she knows that I love. So I am known for being in New York and rocking the Roadrunner. So I don't know what Syracuse fans think of that, but I'm absolutely doing it. You still have orange, so that does fit me as well.
Would you say the Roadrunner says meet me or beat?
Oh, man. I would say meet me.
You're on it. Let's go. You're a real fan. You're a real fan.
So I would say back to you, Coach. Great. So in San Antonio, I've talked with Dr. Campos about food. What is the best, like your go-to, if you had to go somewhere for the rest of your life and eat there every day, where would you go in San Antonio?
Yeah, well, first let me just put a disclaimer out there that I'm going to have a breakfast taco at breakfast, a breakfast taco at lunch, a breakfast taco at dinner.
Okay.
Anybody that's serving breakfast tacos, I'm in. Fast food's good with me. There's amazing. I know I'm not answering your question because I'm not going to give one answer. There's just too many of them I go to, honestly. And I wouldn't want any of them at it. I mean, it's crazy. There's holes in the wall, places that you've never heard of.
Yep.
There's some that, just fast food places, their breakfast tacos are all clutch. And I know I've got children in New York. I've got children in New Orleans. you can't get a good breakfast taco like in San Antonio.
I will tell you, in Florida, I do have a place for you, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I got a place for you down in Florida. What's your last question for me, Coach?
I had one, and I just forgot what it was. I had a really good one, too.
We talked about books. We talked about Sounds of a Roadrunner. So,
Yeah. I'm pretty much tapped out right now. I had a great question. I'm mad I lost it. So
okay.
I guess I'm surrendering.
I'll hit you with this one then. If you and I were going to star in a television
You're
show.
good at this. You're way better at this than me.
If you and I were going to star in a television show, where would we be? So pick our city and pick our profession. What you and I would be doing.
So easy.
Okay.
Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
Gilmer, Texas. I'm Coach Taylor in the movie or the show, and I'm ready to roll.
Okay. What's my job? What am I doing?
You know, I'd want to be Kyle Chandler because he's so handsome, right? He has hair, and he's cool. He lives in Dripping Springs. I'd want you to be my booster. That no matter what I needed, when Dr. Campos told me no again for my 1 millionth request, that I could just call you and go, Dr. Campos, he's writing the check. We can have that 18th uniform combo that you want. That'd be about what I want you to do. Could you do that?
Hey, on the TV show, sure. Why not? So I think it's very funny, though, that Dr. Campos is right off camera, and you felt comfortable saying that and calling your wife out about devotional.
Well, those are the two women I work for. That's don't kid yourself. I'm serving both of them at all times.
Fair enough. UTSA.
Now, both of them would say the very opposite. Both of them would say they have to take care of me at all times.
Well, it seems like the back and forth at the school as well as in your home seems to be going well. The relationships seem to be giving back and forth.
They're the best. They're the best. They're still putting up with me. Here's my last question. I know what it was now.
Okay, yeah.
When she has to fire me one day, do you see any future in me doing this type of work, or is ball all I've got?
I will say this to you. You came into this conversation very serious faced, which is different because I had dinner with you last year and I was listening to all your stories and your emotion and whatnot. You were very serious this morning, but you loosened up, you smiled, and you gave me some things here. So I think we can work with you on getting you in the broadcasting world. I think if you allow me to help you, I think we can do
My daughter says I have a resting bee face at all times. So I need you to, I've got some good friends that will see me do TV live. And they'll say muskrat to remind me to smile instead of just saying smile, coach. So we might need a code word to tell me when to smile.
I can say that being around you last year and seeing your personality, I was surprised that you were so serious this morning.
Yeah.
So
it might be I'm just tired. I've been at Texas High School Coach Association the last 2 mornings and flew in last night, so I'll try to wake up.
Well, did you fly in and have your luggage with you? Because if you did, then you're one up on me. My luggage is still in Detroit 3 days later.
Oh, bless your heart.
Oh, yeah.
That would be.
I had to buy all new things.
I'm not a real trusting person. I'm a real control freak.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm going on a 10-day trip. I'm getting it all in my bag, and I'm carrying it on the plane.
I learned my lesson. Now this is the second time that I've had some type of experience. So.
Yeah, sorry you're going through that.
That's okay. Jeff Traylor here, the head coach of the UTSA Roadrunners, going into the 2024-25 season. Coach, it is my absolute pleasure.
Same, brother. Same. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Tortora in our Heritage Hill Travel Studios. We're here at the AAC kickoff, and I have a leader of the sports world at UTSA, and that is Dr. Campos, Lisa Campos here. No stranger to the broadcast. Lisa, how are you?
Doing so well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I want to get into the elephant in the room, in my opinion, and that's the fact that Tim Pernetti, the new commissioner of the American, not only mentioned you by name, but said the future commissioner of the American Athletic. What do you think about that?
You know what he actually was referring to was my son was sitting next to me, and he was talking about just a joke that he was going to be the future, not me. But I did realize that he didn't say that, so there might be some miscommunication happening there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was an ode to your leadership.
Yeah, no, it was an ode to the 10-year-old next to me and just kind of an inside joke.
Fair enough. So being here and having the opportunity, year number 2 in the American, interesting because year number 1 was Mike Oresco and year number 2 is Tim Pernetti. What can you say about the leadership of Mike Oresco, who is obviously paramount in seeing the value of UTSA coming into the conference, and then now looking at Tim Pernetti?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Tim said it today that Mike has been such an advocate of this conference and has, poured his blood, tears, sweat into this. And, I'm so appreciative and thankful of how he brought us in, but just continued to put the American on the forefront. And for Tim to be able to inherit that. And obviously you all see Tim is really thinking about the landscape of Intercollegiate athletics and how we need to continue to be relevant. And so that's really exciting.
For you to obviously be down here in Texas, and my experience with the American initially was out of Rhode Island, and they decided during COVID to move their offices to Irving. You're in San Antonio. I know Texas is a big state, but to have the festivities not too far away just what that means to you to see the American put so much into Texas and have a lot of representation in the conference with institutions like UTSA.
Yeah, absolutely. We love Texas. We want to be a part of Texas. We are a part of Texas. But yeah, just for the office to be down the road from us, to be able to come participate in these types of events, we have the conference basketball tournament in Texas, so it's just such a great place to be and a great place to have these types of events, and we're appreciative of the opportunities.
Your son, Christopher, is back here again with more hair.
Yes.
So how do you think he's doing as I had the honor, I believe, of being his first ever interviewer?
You did.
So
yes.
How is he doing in today's world? Year number 2 in the American, as I know his suit game is on point for sure.
And I did not force him to wear that. He wanted to dress the part, and he loves these experiences. And for any athletic administrator, they know that we get limited time with our kids, and it's a lifestyle. And to be able to bring him to events like this is really fun for him to get to know the other student athletes across our league, the other coaches. He had dinner with us last night, got to know some bowl representatives, to have the interview with you last year. I'm shocked he hasn't approached you and said, "Are you interviewing me again?" But it's really a great opportunity to just let him tag along and experience this.
And we look at, when you speak on experience, the world of collegiate athletics, the enterprise, so to speak, is going through a unique experience in the continuation of NIL as well as collectives, and looking at the transfer portal, but now we're looking at this settlement and 22% and what that all means. As a leader, as a vice president for intercollegiate athletics, when you look at the future of just what type of financial component it's going to be for each institution, how do you attack that, and how do you look at the fact that if there is like hey, every year this money needs to be put here, how do you handle that with making sure you have the funds and you can also build, because UTSA has been all about building?
Absolutely. We have been about building over the last several years, and to think about how young our institution is, how young our athletics program is, and football. We are going into our 14th season total.
Yeah.
14th total season. And we're competing against institutions here who've been competing for 100 years, right? So they got a little head start, but I think we're holding our own, and you see how competitive we were in our first year in the American, not just in football and in our other sports. But to Tim's point this morning, we have to be thinking differently. We have to be progressive. I embrace change. I embrace how we think about our student athletes and their experience, and how can we give them, whether it's the revenue share, whatever that looks like, the NIL, how do we continue to build them and give them a great experience?
And one of the unique experiences is the fact that college football is back as a video game.
Yes.
What's it been like to see your student athletes get to play as themselves on this game?
It's been a lot of fun, and you see them here, and even the other student athletes. And I think, to have a hiatus for 10, 11 years and to bring it back, it's bringing college football relevant again, right? People who hadn't been thinking about college football are now in this gaming world thinking about it and talking about it. So it's been a lot of fun to see it.
We're going to jump into rapid fire. You saw your coach do it and put you on the hot seat, put his wife on the hot seat. So what is your first question for me?
First question for you. What was the best, I know summer's not over, but what's been the best thing you've done this summer?
Oh, wow. Best thing that I've done this summer. I would say, honestly, I'm not going to say it's necessarily something that I've done, but I talked with Coach Traylor about faith. And so I was getting ready to go on the air, and I was at my home, and I went down into the basement, and I saw water in where my water heater is and all that stuff is, and I thought to myself, oh, okay, like this has happened before. I heard a little drip, and I didn't think much of it. I said, I'll have to take care of this. And I wasn't paying attention. I turned to my right, and there was water on the carpet on the other part of my basement, and my basement's all redone. There's a theater room, and I looked at it, and there was some electronics that were in the water, and I, in that moment, said to myself, I said, I have a show to do. When the show is done, then I will assess this. I'm not going to move anything. I'm not going to pick anything up. It's material stuff. If it's damaged, fine. If it's not, fine. And I sat there, I turned on the camera, I turned on the mic, and I realized in that moment that my faith in God has drastically improved, because I've always talked about faith. But to be in a place where I had a stronger faith and have a stronger faith after having water in my basement and thinking about what that could be and what would ensue from that, I just had a level of calm that really made me feel like I am giving back to God, who's given so much to me, and I could do a better job at that, but I think it was a good start.
That's awesome.
So,
that's a great story.
my question back to you is, if you, because I do believe this, and I'm not saying this because you're sitting next to me, if you were the leader of the free world, because I do think you have the leadership skills and the ability to handle certain things that maybe other people cannot. If you were running for president this year, I'm going to task you to tell me who your vice president would be and what the first thing is you want to do.
Wow, that's a big question. My vice president, you know what? I'm going to tag you.
Okay.
I'm going to tag you.
Okay. All right.
Let's do this together,
Fair enough.
because you got to surround yourself by great people, right? And obviously you talk about your faith and just your service and how you do, how you go about your life. And so if not you, we're going to find someone who it is not about them.
Yeah.
They're humble and they want to serve. And, maybe it's Coach Traylor. Maybe we'll all go in tandem together here. That
He'd be your secretary of something. You already picked
That's
me.
right. That's right.
Sorry, Coach. Secretary of Defense.
There
How about
you go.
that?
But at the end of the day, it's about surrounding yourself by people who are better than you, and surrounding yourself by people who want to serve and who want to lead and who don't want to make it about themselves.
What would be your first thing that we would do?
Oh my goodness.
So you win, and here we go. What are we doing?
We are bringing everyone together in the Senate, the Congress, and we're going to have a great conversation about servant leadership.
I think they could use it. I think we should go there now.
There you go.
What's your next question for me?
All right. If you were not doing this, what's your other passion? What else would you be doing?
So if I wasn't doing this or serving as your vice president,
That's right.
I would be, and the cool thing about that ticket is there would be a Hispanic background
Yes.
in the 100% of that ticket. So, and that would be a first for
That would
America. So I would say, what would I be doing? Honestly, there's a lot of things that I'm working on. I love comedy. I inject it into everything that I do on site and in the studio. So I would say that I would unleash my comedy a little more on the world, and then maybe look at. I'm not necessarily a fan of where the movie industry is, but I would love to screenwrite and tell a story. And I think that there's a lot of ideas that I have that would change the dynamic of a lot of characters we've seen and we know, and would challenge them in a way that they haven't been challenged. And I would like the opportunity to do that.
All right.
So Sony Pictures, I'm just saying, there's a Spider-Man universe that you've not necessarily given the people what they want. And I think I could do a better job at doing that.
I love that.
So my question back to you, what do you consider your single greatest accomplishment?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I don't know if it's a single greatest accomplishment, but I think, if as people know who I am, it really is about every statistic says I should level. So I think my greatest accomplishment would be that I just took advantage of so many opportunities provided to me, and I've just been blessed with so many people who have surrounded me and have seen something in me that maybe I didn't, and have pushed me to be here. And so I would say I'm so grateful for everyone who's touched my life and who's helped me get here.
I love that. I can appreciate that. You get one more. What's your last one?
Ooh, tell me if you could, this is going to be a good one. If you could change anything about you, what would you change?
If I could change anything about myself, what would I change? I am not a person that lives in regret, so I wouldn't say I change anything about my path. I think I complained to God a lot more than I should have, which was literally any at all, but I think I think my complaints have turned into humility. I think my humility has turned into appreciation. I think my appreciation has turned into the fact that adversity makes a person, and you cannot become the person that you are without getting pushed. And I think that I have been pushed. You talk about, it being from the Latin community, that you don't think that people statistically think that you should be where you are. I think as someone who went off on his own, who started a business at 26 years old, who left traditional media to join the internet when it was considered taboo, it was considered weird, it wasn't going to be successful. I think in the media world, I'm never going to get an award from my peers. I think that my honesty, my faith, my compassion, my relationship building has been very important to people like yourself, but I also feel like a complete outcast and outsider at really any press conference. And I think that adversity that made me say, why me? I'm nice to everybody. I do my work. I have never had a bad bone in my body towards someone. Why would I get treated this way? And I think that there is a truth to, if you follow Jesus Christ, who had it worse than anybody, that if you're trying to do the right thing and you feel like you're getting beat up doing it, that you're actually moving in the right direction. So I think that it is a severe misstep to throw me in the fire, but I love it, and I always kind of consider myself the Hulk now when you throw me in there. So I would say, would I change anything? Not necessarily, but if I had a bone to pick with my parents, I am a basketball player and I can shoot, but I'm 5'8". So I would say, Mom, who's 4'11", and Dad, who's 6 foot, could we have done potentially maybe what Yao Ming's parents did, who were very short, and he was like 7 foot whatever.
Right.
So I'd like that opportunity. But honestly, I wouldn't change anything. I think that my path is, God's been with me the whole time, and if He didn't want me where I am, He wouldn't let me be here.
I love it.
So I wouldn't change anything.
Great answer. Thank you.
Of course. My question back to you is, if you opened a restaurant, since we've talked about food before, what would be your 3 main dishes?
Oh, great. I was afraid you were going to ask if I had to cook it, and I think everyone knows I can cook. I can toast bread, and that's about it.
Okay, all right.
So don't make me cook it. But if I were to go enjoy it, my 3, it definitely would have to be like a sesame chicken. I love Chinese food, so something Chinese.
Okay.
It definitely would have to be, I love Mexican food, so I'm going to stick with chicken enchiladas.
Okay.
And then, it's a tough one, either redfish or salmon.
Okay.
So those are, if I had to eat there every day too, I need those 3 things.
I think that those were actually, according to our statisticians, those are correct answers. So that coming from Melissa Campos here with me, of course, in our coverage of the UTSA Roadrunners and leadership in this conference, as well as leadership across America. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You know we are worldwide, so you can get us right here in central and upstate New York, our second home of the great state of Florida, becoming our third home, or our another hub, I should say, so to speak, is the great state of North Carolina. You know that we're working with Brooklyn Pickle in Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, literally just a few minutes from the Pinehurst notable golf courses that some people consider the best in America. Brooklyn Pickle is right by that in Southern Pines, so go and visit them today. Let them know that DT sent you when you're down in North Carolina in the Pinehurst area. And, of course, the Midwest, the West Coast, we just had two guests on from the state of Texas and San Antonio. We're going to be bringing you California interviews, Stanford interviews. So it's been a true honor and a true blessing all around this great world to be able to speak with people on the West Coast, the East Coast, the Midwest, all around the country, and even outside of the country. And for those of you that have watched and listened from the United Kingdom, from Spain, from Italy, from Germany, from France, from Russia, China, the Middle East, Mexico, Canada, thank you so much for tuning into the broadcast, and thanks for making Wake Up Call a part of your day, part of your life. I really appreciate it, and I can't thank God enough for it. And speaking of thanking God, my other dad, Papa Joe, he is one of the best there is out there when it comes to human beings. I would not share Thursdays with anybody else. And for those of you that know, this segment started from PJ and I talking at the table at his house in St. Augustine, and he gave me way too much credit for knowing something about something, and the reality is he knows a heck of a lot more than I do. And so I was sitting there and I said to myself, why would I hold this selfishly? Why not share these conversations with Papa Joe on air so that other people can experience what it's like to have a dad like him in my life? And it's just turned into something special. It's turned into something amazing. We've talked about so many different things in sports and about life. We've tackled really heavy topics, and we've also laughed along the way. So I'd like to think we're just getting started, and I'd like to think I got the best co-host out there. So with that being said, I bring in the man of the hour, PJ, for our Friday special. Papa Joe, how we doing?
Good morning, Daniel. Thank you for all those accolades. However, it's your show. You got to remember that. You got to give yourself accolades.
Well, that's up to God. That's up to other people that want to do that. I'm proud to be here. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to tell the stories that we get to tell. I'm happy to talk with the people that we get to talk with. And I'm very honored that my life is always about building new bridges and new relationships, and then having the ones that we have built to continue to go across them. I mean, I've had a lot of favorite moments this week, and there's some really cool stuff coming up on Wake Up Call that y'all should be prepared for. And, some of my favorite moments are really just, talking with coaches and players and shaking hands and giving them a hug and seeing how they're doing and all that. So, it goes a long way. Not everybody appreciates you, but those aren't the people that you pay attention to. And the ones that do, you make the most of it. And, it's funny because football season is fast approaching, right around the corner. And I can't wait. I was thinking about what am I excited for football season. And I sat here and I thought to myself, I'm really excited to sit with you and Mary and Joey and watch a football game.
That's nice. That works for me.
So we're going to get into football, but we're going to go to baseball first, as we have done throughout the season. PJ and I talking with you about the world of baseball in Major League Baseball, and of course also getting into today the college football playoff, the expansion of college football, and what we think about that. I've been talking about that here on the show. I did promise you that you're going to hear from the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl as well as the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, which are both part of the expanded college football playoff. All of the New Year's Six bowl games with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic included are going to be a part of the road to the national champion every single season now with the current format. You are going to hear from them. We just moved a few things around in the schedule, but you will hear from Gary Stokin, who oversees the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and you will hear from the VP for Communications for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, Scotty Rogers. Both of them fantastic people, faithful people, and have always been good to me. So Gary and Scotty are going to provide an inside look at the college football playoff on Wake Up Call inside of the Heritage Hill Studio, so don't miss out on that. PJ and I will talk about that. We'll also get into the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are fast approaching their season. So, PJ, baseball first. I'll unleash you on that. My Diamondbacks have been winning a bunch of games here in a row, which has been wonderful. I think they won 9 of 11, and then yesterday they won a doubleheader, both games. So Arizona doing some good things, and so that's been good to see, and some other things going on out there as well. The Yankees trying to figure things out up against the Orioles. The Phillies still leading, but they've had some bumps in the road. So the Guardians, which had the best record in the American League, took 2 losses yesterday to the Diamondbacks in that doubleheader. So divisionally, there's a lot of things that are shaking up. Some teams are getting better. Some teams are faltering a little bit right now. And I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Okay, well, I'll start with what I usually do. And but before I start, I can say that most assuredly, all the divisions have pennant races right now because the leaders have spit the bit. They're not playing the best baseball, especially Los Angeles and Philly too. So we'll go down the lineup, and I'll give you what I think.
Yeah.
Well, in the American League East, you got New York and Baltimore are tied with a 68-47 record. Boston's 6 games behind. They're not out of anything at all. Why? Because they're hitting .262, which leads the league in team batting average. The Yankees have 8-2 in the last 10 games, and sort of caught Baltimore for a while. And Baltimore certainly is the better team, but we'll see what happens. Boston is a sneaky guys, and the .262 team batting average woke me up today. I really like to see that. In the Central Division, we got Cleveland at 67-47. Minnesota's 3.5 behind. KC, my favorite in this division, is 4 games behind, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 games, and have crept up a little bit closer to Cleveland. This division is far from over too. Kansas City has all the potential, like Houston, all the potential. But Cleveland's playing good ball. They got a perennial all-star and most valuable player candidate every year in Jose Ramirez, and where he goes, so does Cleveland. So we'll see what happens with him. AC is being led by Bobby Witt, the sensational second-year player that's father pitched in the major leagues. He's leading the league in hitting, and he's just a sensational player. I love to watch him play. In the West, we got Seattle at 59-56. Houston is 59-55. You can call them tied. The big stat here is that Seattle is leading the American League in earned run average of 3.51. That's really not too good as an ERA, but considering American League has always been a hitter's league, but the 3.51 isn't too bad. Texas is third, 5.5 behind. All 3 of these divisions are rocking and rolling, and all 3 divisions will not be settled probably until the last week or 2 in the season. Average-wise, we got Bobby Witt, as I mentioned, hitting .347. Stephen Kwan from Cleveland's hitting .332. Aaron Judge at .324. Judge is leading in home runs with 41 and RBIs with 104. Very possible, not likely, but very possible that Aaron Judge could be a Triple Crown winner.
Yeah.
Triple Crown winner means that you have to have team batting average, you have to lead the league in home runs and in RBIs. Very difficult to do. Not too many guys do it. Judge had the chance to do it. If Bobby Witt can back up a little bit, Judge is still hitting the ball really well. So I'm excited to see what Judge is doing. The Yankees suck, but what the heck. In wins, we got Seth Lugo from Kansas City. He's got 13 wins. He's been there from the get-go. ERA, Corbin Burns of Baltimore is 2.63, and Lugo's at 2.72. Seth Lugo has really been the glue for Kansas City this year. He's pitched extraordinarily well. Emmanuel Class of Cleveland has 35 wins or 35 saves, and he is by far ahead of everyone in that league. So expect him to lead it for the rest of the year. We go to the National League. We got Philadelphia at 68-46. Atlanta's 7.5 behind, and Mets are 8.5 behind. That's not a lot of games. It is, but it's not. You know, Philly's leading in Atlanta's leading in team pitching with a 3.57 ERA. That's what I like to see. And Philly's right behind them at 3.60. Philly's got to have a few bumps in the road for Atlanta to get there. New York has still got a chance, but they've been playing good ball the last month. So Philly dropping below the line, and Atlanta's trying to raise it up. So we'll see what happens there. The Central Division, we got Milwaukee at 64-49. St. Louis is 6 games back. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Chicago are all around 8.5, 9 games behind. This division probably should be over with Milwaukee, but it's not. And I say that because St. Louis is playing good ball. And if Pitt, Cincinnati, or Chicago can make a run at them, it jumble up the whole division. So even though that division is being led by Milwaukee, it's not over with. Now, here's the one that's really interesting. We got the West is LA is 66-49. Arizona and San Diego are 3 games back. Now, the difference here is that Arizona and San Diego in their last 10 games are 8-2, and Los Angeles is 4-6. Ergo, there goes 3 games right there. Arizona is doing a lot better with team batting averages. They're 257. They're in the middle of the league now. San Diego's leading the division with a 265 team batting average. I'll get back to these guys in a minute. Average-wise, Ohtani's a 302. Home runs, Ohtani at 34. Marcell Ozuna's got 32. RBIs, Ohtani's got 37. Ozuna's got 86, 87 to 86. Here's another case where this is possible, where Ohtani could be a triple crown winner by leading the league average home runs and RBIs. Wins, Chris Sale has really come out of the box, doing a hell of a job. He got 13 wins. Atlanta, he's leading the league in ERA at 2.75. I don't know how Boston ever let this guy get out of the free agency, but Atlanta's going to win. If they get close to winning this division, it's all because of him.
Yeah.
Saves Ryan Helsley at St. Louis. He's got 36. He's been far away the best. L.A. was supposed to be one of the premier teams in the league before I started getting into this year. And I really believed them. I believed that L.A. and Philly would be the best in the National League, and I thought that Baltimore and Houston would be the best in the American League. L.A. is just not playing L.A. ball. They're not hitting as well. Their pitching sucks. Clayton Kershaw came off the DL. He's pitched 2 games. He's been bombed in both games. Lost one of them. Don't know what's going to happen. Walker Buehler hasn't come back yet. He's not pitching. They're struggling. And you got a young team like Arizona who's just killing the ball now. In San Diego, which is extremely dangerous. They're both right there. The Arizona is being led by one of my favorite players, which is Josh Bell. You've heard me talk about him before.
Yeah.
He's played for Philly. He's played for Washington, and now he's with Arizona. And he's a big, tall, rugged, switch-hitting first baseman. He can do it all. He even runs good for a big guy. He's something like 6'5" and 240. Big guy. He's really given Arizona a big juice right now. Jock Pederson, another one of my favorite players, used to be with Los Angeles. He's hitting 288, doing really well. And Corbin Carroll, even though I've bashed him most of the season, I'm still bashing him. He's only hitting 215. So I struggled with him early in the year, saying that he had to bat better than the Mendoza line, which is 200. He's at least getting over that. He needs to be more consistent. But Jock Pederson and Josh Bell have helped Arizona go a long way. So I get that's in a nutshell. There's a lot to talk about, but especially Schwarber from Philadelphia was 4 for 4 last night with 3 home runs and 7 RBIs. Kyle Schwarber is a leadoff man for Philadelphia. That's scary, followed by Ryan Harper. So that's it.
Yeah, you brought up a lot of things, PJ, and, there's some stuff I want to obviously unpack that you talked about, some things on my mind. One of the things that I want to share with you is 2 of the polls that we put up. So I should say two of the things. But you were talking about the Orioles. You believe that they're better than the Yankees in the AL East. You also said look out for the Red Sox. It's interesting that you say that because I put up a poll a few days ago and said who will win the AL East. And I think some people might have thought that I would put the poll up and put Baltimore or New York. But I actually put Baltimore, New York, or Boston. 45.5% of the current polling on X at CallDT, the former Twitter. Make sure you go to X at CallDT. That's CALLDT, and join us there. When you join us there, you could vote in our polls very easily throughout the year. And the poll, Orioles, 45.5% of the people think that they will win the AL East here in 2024. And then a tied 27.3% pick the Yankees and the Red Sox. And then in the second poll, I said, who's going to win the NL West? The Dodgers, the Padres, or the Diamondbacks? 47.4% of you are hanging tough with the Dodgers. 21.1% of you say the Padres. And over 30% of you, 31.6%, have said the Diamondbacks. So, PJ, I'd love to get your thoughts on these polls and where they're at. The people have currently picked the Orioles, but they have the Yankees and the Red Sox tied in their voting. And the Dodgers they've picked for the NL West, but the Diamondbacks got over 30% of the vote so far.
Well, you know, most of our listeners are pretty savvy baseball fans. They know what they're doing and they know how they're voting. So this doesn't surprise me. But Baltimore and New York somehow has stayed with Baltimore, even though that their pitching is so poor. And as I said earlier, they're 8-2 in the last 10 games. That sort of brought them even with Baltimore. I think Baltimore was 6-4 or something like that. But Baltimore is the team to beat in this league. Period. They got pitching. They got 5 incredibly gifted young players. The first 5 spots in their order. They all hit for homers. They all hit for average. They're doing well. So I don't look for. Look at Aaron Judge can't carry this team by himself. Juan Soto's doing a heck of a job. He's not in the class of Soto, but he's a hell of a player. You got those two guys 1 and 2 in the order. So if they get on base and start stirring things up, maybe the Yankees can start putting some distance between them and Baltimore. But Baltimore's just too good and too young. They're fearless right now, just like Arizona. They're fearless, and they're just playing good ball, and they don't care right now. They're just winning, and they have to keep winning. Boston is a huge surprise because, I don't know, maybe a month ago, they were barely 500 ball. So they've been playing well. Now they're leading the league in team batting average at 262. So nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with this division at all. I think it's going to go down to the wire, certainly between New York and Baltimore. Boston has to play at least 3 out of 4 when they play their other rivals. They got to win 3 or 4 or maybe 500 ball just to stay even with these guys. But they can do it.
Yeah.
I'll get you the other league. You mentioned Los Angeles, Arizona, San Diego. San Diego just has so much talent with Manny Machado and just this bunch of guys he's got over there, and they got good pitching. I really like San Diego, but LA certainly is the class of the league, but they're not playing that way. And I know the frustration is coming out on Dave Roberts, who's the manager, and Roberts had argued a catcher interference call last night when I was watching it, and he was so pissed off that they threw him out of the game. So Dave Roberts is not the kind of guy that does that. He's not. He's a very low-key guy. He lets his men play the game. He makes the moves when he has to make the moves, and he doesn't lose his cool like that. And he lost it last night. So I'm thinking that he's pissed off at his players for not playing very well. They're not hitting. Ohtani can't carry this team by themselves either.
Yeah.
And certainly he's generational talent, as we talk about all the time, and he's got a very good chance of being the most valuable player again and winning a triple crown, hitting, home runs, and RBIs. But he's leading off just like Schwarber does for Philly. He leads off. He's a giant hitter. We know that. I don't think they're going to pitch him this year. If they do, it may be spot starting or maybe some relieving. But L.A. is in trouble. They're not playing very well. Their good players are not playing very well. They're not pitching very well. And if you let Arizona and San Diego sneak in like this, they're in a hurt. They're as I say all the time, They're hurting Gators. Well, they're hurting Gators, believe me.
Well, and you mentioned Dave Roberts, and you said, "Hey, listen, to you, he's not that type of guy. He's not the guy to go and fight with the umpire and get kicked out of a game." So the question becomes, is this his visible frustration with his team, which is kind of what you were going off of? But like PJ, for you, is this Dave Roberts showing that he doesn't feel like he has control of the team, or he's frustrated with the team? I mean, do you essentially feel like he reacted the way he reacted to the umpire because of the current state of the Dodgers?
Well, there were some managers years ago that used this ploy to fire their team up.
Yeah.
Billy Martin was one of them from the Yankees, and Earl Weaver of the Orioles. They were both hot-headed guys, but they were very passionate with the way they played. They both played the game. They knew the game. And when their team wasn't playing very well, and Weaver would get out there and stomp around and toss his hat on the ground and kick dirt on the home plate, and Billy Martin be running around the umpires going from base to base, screaming at them. It was a great show, but it was to fire up his team to play better. That's exactly what Dave Roberts did last night. He's not that kind of skipper. He's a level-headed guy, but I saw him last night, and I saw the clips.
Yeah.
It's related to how they're playing. He wanted to give his players a kick in the ass. Manager usually get tossed from a game. It's because he wants to send a message, and I think Dave Roberts was sending a message.
Well, and that goes off of a theme that I brought up to multiple coaches on my show here on Wake Up Call inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. I've talked about, is there a good time to get a technical foul? When I was talking to coaches in the basketball world, like, same thing. Is there a good time, just like a baseball, to, get passionate against an umpire? Is there a good time to get a technical in the world of basketball? If you're trying to fire up your team, if you're trying to do something different to get their attention. And coaches said to me, yeah, there kind of is a time and a place to kind of show your team, like, I show them the energy, or to show the official, like, we're not going to be pushed around. And I just find that interesting, going off of that theme that you're talking about it as well, as you think that he was trying to fire his team up here for the Dodgers and, get something out of them as the Dodgers have had some moments here, and they've been leading, right? But they've been leading the division of the NL West because the Padres would do some good things and then falter, and the Diamondbacks would do some good things and falter, and these teams would get close, but eventually they would dip off a little bit, 5 games back, 6.5 games back, 9 games back, but now both of these teams are 3 games back. So what I find to be interesting, and I want to take a look at this right now because I think it's important, is when we look at, you talk about how close these races are, and you said everybody's in a pennant race, right, in each division. The Orioles and the Yankees have the exact same record in the American League East. The Red Sox are 6 behind them both. You look at the Central, the Cleveland Guardians are only 3.5 games ahead of the Twins. The Royals are 4 games back. We're going to talk about them in a second. In the AL West, Papa Joe accurately predicted that the Houston Astros, who started the season looking very poor record-wise, that they would eventually lead this division. They're leading it, but they're only leading it by a half a game over the Seattle Mariners. It's a half a game. And then the Rangers are 5.5 game back. They've dipped a bit. They were in the lead. And then in the National League, the Phillies have been leading this division, but it's because they had so many games they were ahead in the first half of the season before the All-Star break. The Phillies have struggled at times in the second half of the season, but they're still up 7.5 games because they gave themselves such a giant, leeway, right? They had that running start with the record that they had in the first half of the season, that even though they haven't looked as great, they still have some room here. They're not up by 12 games or 15 games like we were seeing, but they're up by 7.5. The Mets are only 8 games back. They're a half a game behind the Braves. So people forgot about the Mets. They're creeping forward. They're trying to make a wild card. Then you look at the NL Central, and the Milwaukee Brewers, they're 6 games ahead of the Cardinals. They're 8 games ahead of the Pirates. They're 9 games ahead of the Cubs, and they're 9.5 against the Reds. Nobody's 20-some-odd games behind there in the NL Central. And then I brought up the Dodgers. The Diamondbacks and the Padres are 3 games back each. And the Giants are 8.5 games back. So, like you said, there's a pennant race all throughout here. It's very tight in the AL East. I think it can get tight in the NL West. It's potentially getting closer in the AL Central. It's close in the AL West. In the NL East, I think people forgot about the Mets, and I think the Mets love that. The team that has, or the division that has the biggest separation right now, besides the Phillies, but I think the Phillies are going to be challenged potentially maybe a little bit more here, is the NL Central. So, I mean, I think the NL Central's probably got not that the Cardinals are out of it by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like that's the most comfortable lead. I don't know if you would agree with me or disagree with me, because even though the Phillies have a little bit more of a lead, a game and a half lead more in their division than the Brewers do in theirs, I feel like if we went all 6 divisions right now and said who has the most comfortable lead, I would pick the NL Central and the Milwaukee Brewers over the Dodgers, over the Phillies, over the Astros and the Guardians and the Orioles. I don't know what you think.
That's important. There is one thing about the Central Division that I haven't talked about really in a while, is that even though St. Louis is 6 back and Pitt and Cincinnati and Chicago are 8.5 back, Milwaukee is sitting good because these guys are going to wind up playing each other all the time. So if St. Louis is going to start playing Cincinnati or Chicago plays Pitt, they beat one night, they lose one night, and Milwaukee's up there playing 500 ball, and they're still 6 games up with only a week left of the season. That conceivably can happen. As long as there's that many teams that are playing pretty good in a division, that's usually what happens. With Philly's not going anywhere. I mean, Atlanta's certainly got the pitching with for sale, and they're hitting, and Marcell Ozuna. I mean, Atlanta's a really good team. But Philly's a better team. And remember, I told you, I always tell everyone that you win pennants and you win World Series on pitching and defense.
Yeah.
Philadelphia has Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, and Ranger Suarez. Those guys have been leading the Phillies from the get-go. They're a 3-headed monster. If you go play the Phillies for a 3-game series, there's a good chance you're going to lose all 3 games, or at least win 2 out of 3 with those guys pitching. So I think Philly's comfortable, and they just, with Schwarber doing what he does in leadoff position, and Bryce Harper cleaning up and everything, I think Philly looks pretty comfortable here. The one that I keep harping on all the time is the LA division, was Arizona and San Diego. Arizona, they're just a fighter. They proved this last year that they can come up when they have to. Their manager doesn't have to get thrown out of a game to fire up their kids, because they're young and they're impressionable, and they know what's happened. San Diego is a very veteran team. If any team can catch Los Angeles, it's San Diego, because of the veteran pitching and good hitting, really good hitting. But LA certainly is a class of league. They have been all year long, but they're not playing that way. You can't look at these are professional baseball players. They're the best players in the world, even better than the Japan League or China League or anything. Yeah, you put these players on a field, the players make the difference. A manager can do all he can, and he can hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Mary's washer was just going crazy there. Here it is again. It's going nuts. Anyway, that's the way I feel about these guys. And LA certainly has a talented team. Imagine what they would be without Ohtani almost leading the entire league with hitting, home runs, and RBIs. If they didn't have them, you'd be seeing San Diego in first place. So this league is troublesome for me. This division is very troublesome for me, because LA certainly is the better team and should be drawn away. But hey, like the Boomer used to see, that's why they play the game. So they go out and play the game, and whoever wins, wins.
Yeah.
It'll be a good race the next month.
Yeah, and these races are fun, right? I mean, I remember last year going through this. I mean, you look at it right now, because the Orioles and the Yankees are tied, there's no determinant of like who that team is right now. They're wild card, and they're also leading the American League. So they're there. The Twins are in if the wild card happened today, it would be the Orioles or the Yankees plus the Twins and the Royals. And then there's the Red Sox that are a game and a half out. The Mariners are 4.5 games out. The Rays are 5.5. The Tigers are 8.5. The Rangers are 9.5. And then it's double digits after that. And then you look at the National League, and the wild card, if it happened today, would be the Diamondbacks, the Padres, the Braves. The Mets are only a half a game behind the Braves. The Cardinals are 2. The Giants are 3.5. The Pirates are 4. The Chicago Cubs are 5. The Cincinnati Reds are 5.5. The Washington Nationals are 9. In the National League, PJ, the wild card race is so much tighter because there's only 2 teams that are double-digit games behind the wild card. The Marlins are 18 back. The Rockies are 19 back. There's only 2 teams that are double-digit games behind. In the American League, there's multiple teams. The Rays, the Angels, the Athletics, and the White Sox are all far and away behind. But PJ, I got to ask you this. People have been focusing on the Oakland Athletics and last year how bad of a team they are. And you and I talked about why would Vegas even want this franchise, and they're not even supposed to go there till like 2028. They're going to be playing in a AAA ball club because it doesn't seem like there was a plan to get them to Vegas. What would make sense is that you leave Oakland and go straight to Vegas. But they have to leave Oakland, go to Sacramento, then go to Vegas, maybe, because Vegas has to figure it out still. So there was all that focus on, did Oakland have a plan? What's going on with this franchise? They don't spend a lot of money. They were the worst team in baseball last year. But now they don't have to worry about that because the Chicago White Sox are 36.5 games out of the wild card. They have a record of 28-89. Papa motherfreaking Joe, please talk to me about the Chicago White Sox.
Well, they obviously have good players. They just don't have any great players. I don't have any pitching. You remember what I talked about before the trade deadline was? You're going to see some of these bottom teams, make deals to help themselves.
Yeah.
If they want to get rid of one of their prime players, which Chicago did, in order to get 2 or 3 prospects, that's what they did. So did Miami. So did Tampa Bay. I'm not so sure about Oakland, but those teams are shoring up the team the next year and perhaps maybe bringing in some minor leaguers to shine this year. It's sad that someone can play so bad. I know that, to their credit, they won a game 2 nights ago after losing 21 in a row.
Yeah.
Now they got a 2-game win streak. Go figure. But losing 21 in a row is embarrassing. And if I was in Chicago and I was going to one of the games, I'd have one of those bags over my head. Just forget about it. There's another division that's worth talking about too, and that's the Central with Cleveland. Cleveland surprised me this year with the way they're playing. I didn't think that they were this good. I thought Kansas City was the class of the league. I still think they are, led by Bobby Witt and my man Jake Caglione. Go Gators!
There you go.
He's going to make his he made his pro debut in a AAA league last night for Kansas City, and they're looking maybe to bring him up if he starts hitting well. Bring him up and see if they can show up to the lineup a little bit to get past Cleveland. KC was my pick all year long for this division. Minnesota I don't think very much of, but KC has the team. They got the pitching, they got the hitting. So, and they were 7-3 in their last 10 games, and jumped a couple of games from Cleveland. So, a lot to be excited. If you're a baseball fan, there's a lot to be excited about in the next 3 weeks with the pennant races. Probably the next time we talk, we'll be able to whittle down some of these divisions even more. But certainly in 2 weeks, we'll know what's happening.
Yeah, and like you said, we continue to get closer and closer here and see what can go on with these wild card races as well as these divisional races. Like we talked about, the biggest lead of any division is 7.5 games, and that is the Phillies over the Braves thanks to their first half of the season. And, the Dodgers, like we talked about, 3 games. Yankees and Orioles are tied. Boston Red Sox not too far behind them. A half a game separates the Astros and the Mariners. So there's a lot yet to still be figured out, which is going to make things exciting. That's what we live for. Now, I want to let people know that we put up the polls on X, the former Twitter. I put up 2 new ones this morning. I typically put something up pretty much every time PJ and I talk here on Wake Up Call inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. And I put up, will the Tampa Bay Rays make the 2024 AL Wild Card? You can vote in that today and throughout the week. And will the New York Mets make the 2024 NL Wild Card? So, PJ, I ask you these questions. Will the Rays find a way to make the AL Wild Card? And will the Mets find a way to make the NL?
No.
No on both?
Oh.
All right. Okay.
Neither one of them are going to figure here, like Daniel. Neither one of them are going to figure.
Okay, that coming from Papa Joe here made it simple. PJ.
There's a lot of good teams out there. Unfortunately, Tampa Bay is in a monster division with New York, Baltimore, and Boston ahead of them. I don't look for them at all to do anything. No.
Well, before we jump off to college football and the NFL, I wanted to get your thoughts on this really quick. And you mentioned him, but the Kansas City Royals, a team that wasn't necessarily out of anything. Obviously, they maybe were flying under the radar, the third team of their division at the time, but they have Bobby Witt Jr. And Bobby Witt Jr.'s his name first came across my desk when I was at the card show in Philadelphia at Rivers Casino Fishtown. And I'm going to be back there mid-August for my 3rd Philadelphia sports card and collectible show, and I'm excited because we had a great time the other 2 times. Brendan and I are going to be there from DT and Murphy, so we'll see you all out there soon in Philadelphia. I want to make sure I give people the right day. We're going to be at Rivers Casino in Philly on Sunday, August 18th. So we'll see you all out there on Sunday, August 18th. I believe it starts at like 8:30 in the morning and goes until 3 or 4. So we'll see you there at Rivers Casino. Come over and buy some cards from us, sell some things to us, trade some things with us. We'll have a good time. The Royals, Bobby Witt Jr.'s name first came across my desk when I was in Philly. I was at the Fishtown card show, and somebody said, do you have any Bobby Witt cards? And I'm sitting here like, Bobby Witt? And then they're like, Kansas City. And I'm like, why would they want Bobby Witt cards here in Philadelphia unless he's a prospect that they think is going to do really well? And this was a team that, they're not, like I said, they weren't like falling down, but they weren't really on the radar. And right now in the Central Division, the Cleveland Guardians took back-to-back losses in a doubleheader yesterday to the Diamondbacks. And now they're only 3.5 games ahead of the Twins, and then the Royals are only a half game behind the Twins. So you said you picked Kansas City from the beginning of the season. What do you think about Kansas City overall in their push to make the postseason? And secondly, with that, what are your thoughts on Bobby Witt Jr.?
Well, Bobby Witt Jr. is what we call generational talent. Certainly he had the good genes because his dad played, but his dad was a pitcher.
Yeah.
He didn't hit. But Bobby Witt, he's only 24 years old, I think. I mean, he's still a kid.
Yeah.
Last year he just took everyone by surprise. He got Rookie of the Year, and he's just a killer. And he's proved it this year. Usually, you go through a second season slump like what Corbin Carroll's going through now, But he didn't do that, and he's playing very well. And there's 2 guys that make Kansas City go. Besides Seth Lugo, the pitcher, there's 2 guys. One is Bobby Witt. The other is Vinny Pasquantino. How about a nice Italian guy like that?
There we go. I like that.
He bats behind Witt, and both of these guys have got over 25 homers and over 85 RBIs apiece. So Kansas City lives and dies with Lugo on the mound and Bobby Witt and Vinny Pasquantino at bat. I think, and I said months ago that Kansas City should win this division based on their talent. I didn't expect Cleveland to jump out and play as well as they have. But anyone who's got Jose Ramirez on his team is going to be eligible to play well. So again, I don't mention Minnesota too well because I don't think that they're playing better than I think they are. But Kansas City should be playing better. They were 7-3 in their last 10 games, and jumped up on Cleveland a game and a half, I think. So the answer to your question is that Kansas City certainly is for real. Bobby Witt certainly is for real. And with Witt and Pasquantino and Seth Lugo leading Kansas City, they may have enough to sneak into the wild card or even win the division.
Yeah, and so that poll is up there now, too. As PJ was talking about this, I went ahead and put the poll up. Will the Kansas City Royals make the 2024 MLB postseason? Not as a wild card, not as winning the division, just in general. Do you think that they'll make it? So I didn't make it specific to the wild card or winning the AL Central. Just asking you, do you believe overall that the Kansas City Royals will make the 2024 Major League Baseball postseason? You can vote in that with our other polls that are already up. Early polling says that they believe the Mets will make the wild card for the National League, so we'll continue to see what you have to say as we go forward. PJ mentioned Josh Bell, who was one of the late moves by the Diamondbacks to help them in the world of hitting. He's played in 6 games for the Arizona Diamondbacks. In 6 games, he's had 26 at-bats. He has 5 runs, 7 hits. He has 4 home runs in 6 games for Arizona, 5 RBIs, not too shabby, Josh Bell. I'm very excited. When I saw that he was coming, I got excited. When that popped up, I was all about it. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When we come back, we'll shift gears from one field to the next. We'll talk about college football, the expanded playoff, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's all coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Stay with us. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Get yourself over to GG Cards and Breaks today and get those awesome additions to your sports card collection. And if you've never collected sports cards, well, folks, once you pop, you can't stop. I'll tell you that much. So make sure you get out there and get your sports cards today, as well as Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Disney, Lorcana, and Magic the Gathering are all there as well. So for those of you that are collecting your favorite characters and playing the games, there's also cards, when you look at the sports card world and stuff being worth value and kind of being like the stock market, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and Disney Lorcana cards are worth money too. And so you can go out there and open some packs and boxes and try your luck and see what you can get with those and put some things away, put them in special cases. So there's always something to help you be a big kid every single day. And GG Cards and Breaks does a phenomenal job at that. It starts with Josh and Anthony. It continues on from there. We're in year 2 with GG Cards and Breaks. I couldn't be happier because they're my sports card place of choice and my trading card place of choice. And when I haven't been there in a few days, like this week, I'm like jonesing for it. I'm like, man, I haven't been there in a few days. I got to go in and see the guys. I just want to see what they got. They're always changing stuff, and I just love being around the guys. So GG Cards and Breaks, it's not just a small business. To me, it's a watering hole. It's a place to bring the community together. They do that with Trade Night, and they just do a phenomenal job. They put that extra tender loving care in, and I see it, and I appreciate it, and you got to shout it out. So they're not just a card shop. They're a card shop that cares. And they're a card shop that is filled with a bunch of big kids that love to open packs and boxes themselves, love to see what they get, and love to build up their collection. So every time I go in there, it's reinvigorating to be like, oh, there's other people out here collecting this stuff and putting it away. And if I didn't have GG Cards and Breaks, I couldn't get Papa Joe all his Jameis Winstons that he desperately begs me for all the time. So with that being said, inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, we're here on Wake Up Call. Make sure you head off to GG Cards and Breaks every Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. And of course, you can also make sure that you reach out to them on social media. But we appreciate everybody that has connected with them on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. PJ, what do you think about that? Is that an accurate statement that I have to go to GG Cards and Breaks to keep your Jameis Winston fix?
That's right. Yeah, I'll sell it to you for 5 cents right now.
So PJ and I,
News.
yeah.
We do have some news just broke
yeah,
on our baseball.
yeah.
Chicago White Sox has fired their manager, Pedro Grifol. So that should come as no surprise to anyone out there that the Chicago White Sox have fired their baseball coach.
Yeah, so sad. Never like to see any of this stuff happen. Never wish it on anybody by any stretch of the imagination. So hopefully he will find a job elsewhere, and hopefully the White Sox can stop the bleeding right now. Horrible record, 28-89, the worst record in Major League Baseball. They are number 30 of 30 Major League Baseball franchises. So my best to the White Sox and my best to their manager, who is no longer their manager as they step forward. PJ, college football, as we step into this season, it's going to be happening in just a couple of weeks. Syracuse Orange are going to host the Ohio Bobcats of the MAC on August 31st, which is a Saturday. So we are going to be in it very, very soon. The ACC is going to have a game over in Ireland. A lot of things are going on, and the college football playoff has expanded. We now know that the college football playoff is going to have 12 spots. We know that the first round is going to feature teams 5 through 12. The top 4 seeds will have a bye. Then the quarterfinals will feature 4 of the New Year's Six Bowls. The semifinals will feature the other 2 New Year's Six Bowls. And then we'll have a national championship, which this year is going to be played in Atlanta, Georgia, which is also the home of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, where I've been. And it is inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is just crazy, awesome, huge, massive stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. So what are your thoughts on the college football playoffs expansion? Are you ready for it? Are you excited about it? Knowing that we are now in a place where the college football playoff is going from 4 teams to 12 teams. They talked about it, and now they're finally doing it, giving 12 spots out here. So, what are your thoughts? No? Really, PJ? You don't like the 12?
I don't like the 12. No, I think they overreact. Everyone. I proposed six teams years ago, and I think that's what they should go for because that covers the 5 power conferences. In one other conference, they can throw a guy in there. But they have 12 teams. You know, when the kids are going to go to school, when are they going to study, when are they going to do that? I don't like it, Daniel, but you know it's all for the dollar. And every one of these games is going to make a lot of money for the NCAA and the teams involved.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Questions. I'm not fired up about it. I don't care about it right now, and I don't agree with it. So that's why I said so many no's. You know, everyone's got their opinion. I mean, everyone, including you, are going to have to cover it. There'll probably be some good news coming out of it. There'll probably be some mediocre teams that'll wind up, you know, in the playoff that and say they made the playoff. They'll get beat, of course, but you know, it's too early to talk about that. I follow college football.
Yeah.
Not quite yet, but I will very shortly because they're gearing up. But one area that I did follow was the Jim Harbaugh deal at Michigan. Of course, now he's in Los Angeles with the Chargers, and I don't know. I never liked Harbaugh because I don't like Big Ten football, and that's no reason not to like him, but I just don't like him. John Harbaugh is a different kind of guy. John Harbaugh is a good coach with the NFL, and he belongs there. Now, Harbaugh at Michigan, he was a slimy kind of guy. And I think that the NCAA came in with a 4-year show cause unethical conduct charge against him. So if he happens to go back into the college football arena, if he fails at Los Angeles, he's not going to get a job for 4 years. Now, I'm not sure this is going to go through, but now Harbaugh is saying that he didn't know anything about anything that was going on, and all the time he was there.
Yeah.
Now, how can you believe a guy like that? So the NCAA says, hey, Jim, you're full of poop. You know, we're going to get you. We got proof, and we're going to show a cause for 4 years. You ain't coming back for 4 years. Now, the guy that took over this, the Sharon Moore guy, he's another one. He's complicit, too. I'm sure he is. I'm sure that Harbaugh was saying, Sharon, you got to do this, try this, go do this for this guy, go make this call here. You know, both of those guys don't need to be coaching right now. But to throw Harbaugh out of the league for 4 years when he's not in the league, how can you do that? I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, you look at this, and, I mean, here's the thing. When we talk about Jim Harbaugh, you and I spoke about this. We spoke about this here on Wake Up Call. Of course, we're inside the Heritage Hill Studios. We had a conversation about Jim Harbaugh. We had multiple conversations. I've talked about Jim Harbaugh multiple times on the show he was suspended twice last season. And I said, if he doesn't leave now, he's never going to leave. Like, if he doesn't go to the NFL now, he's not going to go to the NFL again. And he left. And I said, if he goes anywhere, he's going to go to the Chargers. And he went to the Chargers. And I'm not surprised of what's happening now, because there was obviously a sniff of this, right? There was a sniff of this for him. I'm not saying he didn't want to go to the NFL, didn't want to go to the Chargers, but he seemed somewhat not wanting to leave Michigan, but he must have had a sniff of this. He must have had a sniff of, I'm going to get in trouble, so I'm going to get out of here on my own merit. I'm going to get out of here on my own decision. And now that this thing came out afterward, it's like, whatever, I'm out. Because there had to have been some, you know what I mean? It was like there was rumblings of stuff going on. Are they going to fire him when he wasn't beating their rivals and Michigan wasn't playing that well? By the way, when Michigan plays well in recent history, they don't play anybody. So it was like, here's Jim Harbaugh. Are they going to keep him? And then they kept keeping him. And then this stuff came up of like, maybe he's going to get in trouble. And then you're thinking in your head, like, okay, like he's not going to stay there and take a penalty. He's already been suspended twice. So and this is just my thought. This is not Jim Harbaugh. This is my thought. In my brain, he must have had a sniff of this. He must have known that maybe I'm going to get in trouble. Maybe I'm going to get pushed out. So let me leave before they push me out. Here's the thing that's crazy. You said he didn't know anything about it. The NCAA noted that Jim Harbaugh could not recall a meeting. He could not recall meeting with recruits, despite confirmation from at least one of his own staff members and the prospects' families, multiple prospects' families. One recruit specifically remembered, and this is funny, that Jim Harbaugh, quote, ordered a hamburger for breakfast, which kind of stood out to him, end quote. Other NCAA evidence included a text message from Harbaugh to a recruit, quote, from the NCAA. Given the significant amount of reasonable, credible information in the record, Harbaugh's denials are not credible, end quote. Harbaugh's punishment and news about the sign-stealing scandal all came with Michigan ramping up to defend its national title. But here's the thing that's crazy. He gets suspended last season. They win a national championship, and they punish him. They don't punish the school. They don't take the championship away from the school. If you found out that the coach was doing things illegally, the old NCAA used to strip you of your championships, strip you of your awards. PJ, what are your thoughts on that? Are you confused that they've been investigating Jim Harbaugh apparently for a long time? They finally suspended him, and now they got a show cause penalty against him. Are you surprised that it's all against Harbaugh and it's not against Michigan? Because in the past, and I'm not saying that it should be, I'm just saying, like, normally when a coach at a school is doing something wrong and the NCAA finds you guilty, sometimes, well, I shouldn't say normally, sometimes they punish the school, and sometimes they punish the coach, and sometimes they punish both. In the case of Syracuse, they punished both. In the case of, oh, and I think we lost Papa Joe here for a second. But in the case of Syracuse, they punished both. And let's get PJ back on the line here. So let's see if we can get him back on the line. So here he is. So PJ's with us. So PJ, my question to you was, the NCAA has shown multiple different ways of handling problems. When they thought that some people had broken certain things, they have gone, like in the case of, I think it was St. Bonaventure. St. Bonaventure had a terrible record. They weren't going to make the men's NCAA tournament, and they punished them immediately and told them they couldn't go to the tournament that they would have never qualified for. In the case of Syracuse, they punished Jim Boeheim and the school. In the case of North Carolina and the basketball team, they punished nobody. In the case of John Calipari, they never punished John. They punished Kentucky, or pardon me, they never punished John. They punished Memphis and they punished UMass. In the case of Jim Harbaugh, they punished Jim Harbaugh, but not Michigan. So the NCAA, again, why I said what I said 6 years ago, that the NCAA would fail to exist the way that we remember it if they exist at all, and that prediction is unfortunately seemingly coming true 6 years later of when I gave them the 5 to 10 year window. They don't punish people the same way. They either punish the coach, they punish the school, or they punish both. Are you surprised in this specific case that they punished Jim Harbaugh over and over again, but they've never punished Michigan?
Of course. I mean, they're blooming idiots, Daniel. We've been talking about these guys for years. They're not consistent with anything they talk about. They don't have a uniform law with anything. They're scatterbrained. And in my opinion, Harbaugh and Michigan should have been penalized if this is indeed true. I'm sure it's got to go through a court proceeding. And Michigan, frankly, should lose their national championship. And, that year would just be blank. There would be no national champions because you can't give it to Washington because they didn't win on the field. But Harbaugh has always been an edge guy. He's always on the edge. He doesn't recruit well. He recruits edge players. You've gone through everything he's done. He's been suspended several times. So you're right in suggesting that he get out of Dodge before the posse comes. And that's exactly what happened. He got out of Dodge. He got an $80 million contract. And he says, to hell with Michigan.
Well, and then you look at this, though. Does the bleeding stop? Because, again, they punished Harbaugh, not Michigan. But the coach that Michigan elevated, he's under investigation. So you don't punish Michigan for what Jim Harbaugh did, but let's go a little bit more into this. New Michigan coach Sharon Moore is facing allegations he violated NCAA rules related to the investigation into scouting and sign stealing, according to a draft of the NCAA's Notice of Allegations obtained by ESPN's Dan Murphy and Pete Thamel. Moore had been accused of deleting text message exchanges with Connor Stallions, who was a recruiting staffer who coordinated an off-campus advanced scouting operation. According to the draft, the NCAA has recommended a less serious Level 2 violation for Moore and alleged that messages between Moore and Stallions were recovered and that the coach provided them to the NCAA. Moore was promoted from offensive coordinator to head coach when Jim Harbaugh decided to leave to go to the NFL. But here's another thing, PJ. Okay? You got Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. He gets in trouble. They don't. The offensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh is now your head coach, and he's been named in the NCAA investigation. And Michigan still didn't get in trouble, but they're looking at maybe punishing more. So, I mean, to me, Papa Joe, if you're punishing Jim Harbaugh, but you can prove that more than one staffer on the Michigan football team broke NCAA rules, then wouldn't it make sense to just punish the University of Michigan?
Well, they're all complicit. And unfortunately, Michigan, I think, is going to have to suffer. I think when the NCAA starts thinking about a more reasonable solution, they're probably going to say, well, Harbaugh certainly was at fault. Moore was at fault. But Michigan maybe was at fault because they let it go. It's like the inmates running the asylum. The asylum is going to have to take the bunt. So I look for them to be suspended somehow. Maybe Sharon Moore shouldn't even be the head coach. I mean, he's been there for years following Jim Harbaugh. You don't think that he followed Jim Harbaugh for a reason? He knew what Harbaugh was doing, and he knew that he could slime the system by doing exactly what Jim Harbaugh does. Now Harbaugh gets caught, and he's going to be hanged. he's going to hang because of it. He may even lose his job because of it.
But think about this. The attorney for Jim Harbaugh, Tom Mars, you'll enjoy this. He said, quote, "The way I see it from Coach Harbaugh's perspective, today's Committee on Infractions decision is like being in college and getting a letter from your high school saying you've been suspended because you didn't sign your yearbook. If I were in Coach Harbaugh's shoes and had an $80 million contract as head coach of the Chargers, I wouldn't pay attention to the findings of a kangaroo court which claims to represent the principles of the nation's most flagrant repeat violator of the federal antitrust laws," end quote. Speaking of the NCAA. And what did Jim Harbaugh say? Quote, "I do not apologize." So with that, let's jump into the NFL. And that was him not apologizing about the sign stealing stuff. He said, "I did not participate. I was not aware nor complicit in those said allegations. I do not apologize," is what he said. So, getting into the Jacksonville Jaguars, Papa Joe, we talk about this team every single year for many years now. I've done something called On the Prowl since I was down working in Orlando in 2010. Some people may not know that, and they have to be educated. But as we talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars in training camp, what are your thoughts on Jacksonville as we step toward the season?
I do have some opinions, and I do have an early 53-man roster, but I know that's going to take a long time to go over, so perhaps maybe I can do that next week.
Okay.
But what I've been following down here, and the pundits are starting ready to get going because they're watching practices, they're listening for things, they're looking for a guy got cut, they're looking for a guy they added, so there's a lot of action going on. But one thing has been true, and this has been said by more than one pundit, is that Trevor Lawrence has not looked good during the preseason. He's not been sharp. He's not making the right reads. And this is against a defense that really isn't that good. I mean, they're not bad, but they're not that good. I'm sure that if Trevor faced a top-notch defense, he'd be in a flummoxed. But that's what I'm hearing. The defense shines, and the offense is underwhelmed. Those are words that come out of a pundit. Underwhelmed, and the defense shines. So Ryan Nielsen is the new defensive coordinator. He's shaking things up a little bit, too, when he got here. He said he's going to try different players at different positions to see if he can come up with something that he can deal with.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure I like that. Because I think that you're confusing a person. I mean, if you got a defensive lineman who plays on the outside and you want him to play inside, that confuses them all together. Outside linebacker, inside linebacker, same thing. Cornerback, safety, same thing. And there's some other little. Most of the pundits and most everything I've read is that they're just not consistent. They need to execute better, and that's really in a nutshell. And for them to go through what they went through last year and 2 years ago, where in the last part of the season they just blow it out, I don't understand it. I mean, we're at a loss for words because we don't understand how they play that bad when they're such a good team. I don't get it either. But there's a few trades that are being talked about. And one of them is they're going to get rid of Cam Robinson. He's hurt again, and he hasn't played yet, or he's played little. And I think that they're going to jettison Cam Robinson, or not cut him, but probably trade him to get some value. And that's going to slip Walker Little, one of my favorite players, is into that left tackle spot.
Yeah.
So with the information I just got right here, and the stuff on Cam Robinson, there's a lot going to be said here in the next week or so. So we'll be able to really get into it.
It's one of those things that, and like you talked about, when you bring up Cam Robinson, he's been there for a long time, right? They spent a high draft pick on him. He came out of Alabama, but he doesn't stay healthy. And last year he got suspended. So he's been in the league for a long time, but he doesn't stay healthy. So that's an issue. It's been an issue. It continues to be an issue. You know, the Jacksonville Jaguars got about 115 wide receivers right now at camp. They have Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas Jr., who are going to make the team. Then you have Parker Washington, who's been there, Devin Duvernay, who's going to be your returner, so he's probably going to make the team. Then you have Elijah Cooks, who's been there, Tim Jones, who played a little bit last year, Josh Cephas, UTSA. I had the UTSA Roadrunners VP for Intercollegiate Athletics, Lisa Campos, on the show in the first hour, and the head coach, Jeff Traylor. Well, Jeff Traylor coached Josh Cephas. I got to obviously follow Josh Cephas in my coverage of the American Athletic and UTSA inside of that. So he's a little steal. They also brought in Denzel Mims, who's played for the Jets. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But I would imagine if I had to put my feet to the fire today, Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas Jr., Devin Duvernay, maybe Parker Washington. Those are the guys I would say would make the team from the Jaguars receiving corps. They got a bunch of running backs. We'll see how this all works out. They drafted Keelan Robinson, but Dearness Johnson, Tank, and Travis Etienne seem to be the guys that are going to stick it out there. Travis Etienne Jr., by the way, is the next one to sign his contract if they're going to keep him, as well as Andre Cisco, who's the Syracuse alum, and they both are in contract situations. We know who the quarterback's going to be, but you mentioned it. Walker Little's been all over the place. Bless his heart. That man has been guard when they need him to be guard. He's been tackle when they need him to be tackle. But moving Ezra Cleveland inside, who was the third-string left tackle last year, if you move Cam, then Walker goes to left tackle like you had talked about. Ezra stays left guard. Mitch Morse is the center. Brandon Sheriff is the right guard. And Anton Harrison, who was a rookie last year, would stay at right tackle. Javon Foster, who they drafted, the only offensive lineman they drafted in 2024, would back up either Harrison or Little in that situation. Defensively, they moved to a 4-3. So you got a 4-3-4 situation going on, which means that Josh Allen might be putting his hand in the dirt. Trayvon Walker may be putting his hand in the dirt. Eric Armstead, who they brought in from the Niners, and Devon Hamilton, who's been there, as well as Roy Robertson Harris. So now you had all these hybrid guys that could play defensive end or outside linebacker. Now you got to figure out your linebacker crew when you put four guys up front defensively. So now who's going to be your leader of Foye Oluokun, Devin Lloyd, Yasir Abdullah, Chad Muma? Now the question becomes, who are your linebacker depth pieces? Because you have some guys that are going to help you, but where is the depth going to come from becomes the question. That's the question that comes to us here. Where is the depth going to be, PJ? And that is something that we really have to talk about. We really have to look at is the Jaguars moving to four guys up front on the defensive line is now putting us in a situation where if Foye Oluokun is the leader and Devin Lloyd is a young gun, but maybe the second leader in command, then you have Muma and Yasir Abdullah. What are you going to do with the rest of the guys? How are you going to work your hybrids? You don't have Caleb Chase on anymore, who is a hybrid. If your hybrid Josh Allen is on the defensive line, if a potential hybrid and Trayvon Walker is on the defensive line, then the question becomes, what does this linebacker unit look like for the Jaguars? And I think that that's a big question right now.
Yeah, I mean, I got all those opinions for next week, Daniel. I have all the stuff all written down, and probably by next week they're probably they're going to cut a guy or sign another guy or whatever, And there's a lot of stress that goes into playing NFL football. Just because you're drafted, you go to camp, you try to go to make the team. You're not guaranteed anything, And when you got, let's face it, 85, 90 guys in your camp,
yeah, you
got to get down to 53. Boy, that tugs at your heartstrings there. I mean, you got a guy that's been in the league 2 or 3 years and who's a marginal player, but he's got to play because he's got to feed his family. You got to do this, you got to do that. And it's very stressful. And some of the players that I came up with for the 53-man roster will be some are surprises, not surprises, but it's just that's for another day.
And I got to tell you what makes me sad, PJ, is they brought my guy Riley Patterson back in and they waived him. So the Cam Little, the kicker that they drafted in 2024, he's going to be the kicker. They did the 1-year test of bringing in the vet, and that didn't work out for Jacksonville. They had Josh Lambo, who did a lot of great things for the team, and I think still could be kicking in the NFL. And now, giving up Riley Patterson, who is a steal, now they're going to lean on Cam Little. So I'm sad about that. I was happy to see Riley back in. He got waived. So sad to see that, but we're fast approaching the season. We know we got preseason games this week. I'm very excited about it. Looking forward to it. And I just want to let you know, PJ, really quick here, the polls that we put up. Early polling on X, the former Twitter. Go and follow me at CallDT. That's at CALLDT. Follow me there. Will the Kansas City Royals make the postseason for 2024? Early polling is 100% yes. Will the Mets make the 2024 NL wildcard? Early polling, more votes came in. Still 100% yes. Will the Tampa Bay Rays make the 2024 AL wildcard? In the fantastic quote of PJ, no.
That's right. That's right. Maybe people are listening to me out there.
So that being said, for PJ, for Mary, for Joey, for Boom Boom, and Marissa, I thank you all for being a part of Wake Up Call, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Right, see you. That coming here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Make sure you vote in our polls, folks. I put them up all the time, and try to put them up here every single week, if not every other week. And we put those polls up so that we can hear what you think. I want to, we talk about this stuff on the show. And by the way, like over the years, you've been so incredible about getting in touch with us. And more of you have been voting. And I thank you so much, because it's great to talk about the topic and then see what you think and see it instantaneously. We put up a poll yesterday, by the way, and y'all went so it was immediate that you were voting. We had almost 200 votes almost immediately within just a few minutes. And that poll actually finished up here. So I want to give that. We had over 200 votes. Where do you believe wide receiver Brandon Ayuk will be? Where will he land? Will he stay a Niner? Will he be a Steeler, a Brown, or a Patriot? And 10.9% of you think he'll stay in San Francisco. 22.8% of you, said that he will be a Patriot. 30.7% said a Brown, and 35.6% of you believe that when all is said and done, Brandon Ayuk will be a Pittsburgh Steeler. And I believe he's trending on X right now. He was, let's see if he still is, trending on X. I'm not seeing him at the moment, but Brandon Ayuk, as this sweepstakes continues, we're getting closer and closer to the season. Going to have to get something here done. Does he want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler? And we have to think about two things here, folks. If he wants to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, he's got to understand that you're under contract with the San Francisco 49ers. And if you're under contract with the San Francisco 49ers, it does them no service to let you go where you want to go and get nothing for you. So they obviously want to get something from Pittsburgh. You have to, people forget this. And in today's sports world, professional world, we see, especially in the NFL, we see these guys just want to up and leave, but what are you doing to, if you're going to leave and you're under contract, that team needs to get something for you. It doesn't make any sense for the San Francisco 49ers to say to Brandon Ayuk, okay, you can leave. Have a nice life. We'll figure it out. No, I want something back for him. Now, do I think that this guy is the number one receiver in the country? No. Do I think he's in the top 4 or 5 in my head right now going into the season? No. I think he's talented, but, is he the guy that I'm going to lean on every single week? We'll see. Depends on the situation where he goes. Now, the club took their option this year to bring him in, to pay him over $14 million. It's a lot of money. Brandon Ayuk was making, in 2020, when he came in, he made a little over $2.2 million. The next season, he made a little over $2.8 million. Then he made $3.4 million and some change. Last season, he made $3.9, almost $4 million. He went from making under three, a little over 3, and almost 4 to making 14 this year. He's made an extra $10 million plus this season from San Francisco. So I would say, number one, thank you, San Fran, for upping my paycheck by over $10 million. And let's find some amicable way to part. Now, let's look at the Niners. Okay, because I got to talk about this here for a second. Let's look at the Niners, because I want the best for Brandon Ayuk, but I also want the best for the San Francisco 49ers, because this is a business deal, right? You don't help out one side, you help out both. See, people don't think about that. It's about relationships. Some people walk into things saying, transactional people say, what can I get, what can I get, what can I get? True business people that understand what it's like to be a business person say, what can I get, what can I give? How can I make this mutually beneficial to the both of us? Because if you're just looking to take, you're not building bridges, you're burning them. Take from this and I money. If you long-term take care of a relationship, you got everyday money. So what Brandon Ayuk has to see is if he doesn't want to be in San Francisco, that's fine. That's his prerogative. He has the right to do what he wants to do. But he's under contract. He has the right to do what he wants to do next year. But right now, he is a San Francisco 49er. And if he doesn't want to be a San Francisco 49er, then the teams that are actually calling San Francisco, he has to look at those teams. Look at the situations. And if you really don't want to be in San Fran, and you want to go somewhere else, and you don't want to be in San Fran, and there's only 3 teams calling you, let's say it's the Patriots, the Browns, and the Steelers, and that's it, then you got to pick amongst those 3. Or suck it up and stay a Niner. If the 3 options besides San Francisco don't seem good, then stay in San Francisco and try to win a championship. Y'all got close. Y'all got close a couple times in the last few years. The only team standing in front of you, Kansas City, who's been standing in front of mostly everybody. So when you look at San Fran's situation and you're Brandon Ayuk, if you're there and none of the options look good, then you sit pat. But if one of them looks good, then you got to play nice in the sandbox and realize it's not all about you. It's about you and San Fran getting this deal done. Let's look at what San Fran has. If they lose Brandon Ayuk, they have Deebo Samuel, who that marriage looked a little dicey in the past. You have Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall, young in the game. And then you have Ronnie Bell and Chris Conley, who was a Jaguar, who I think that was underutilized and so on and so forth. Trent Taylor. Really, it's Deebo, and let's hope some guys step up. If they were to make a decision, if San Fran, I'm going to talk to my buddy Anthony Campbell, who's at GG Cards and Breaks about this because he's a big-time Niner. And shout out to Phil Carpenter, who's a longtime listener and supporter of what we do here on Wake Up Call, because he's a big-time Niner as well. And I'm going to talk to him about this in fantasy football. But when you take a look at these things, and what should they bring in? I want to get their thoughts on what they think San Fran should bring in. But when I'm looking at this, and let's say they give up Brandon Ayuk, right, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So do they tell Pittsburgh, you can have Brandon, but we want Calvin Austin III? And do they say, I want George Pickens? Do they say, let's flip, right? Remember the mistake that Houston made when they said, we need a running back. Give us David Johnson. And we're going to give you DeAndre Hopkins, who at the time was arguably the best wide receiver or in the top 2 in the nation of 32 NFL franchises. And all of those wide receivers in the NFL. If every team has 5 wide receivers and you have 32 NFL franchises, watch this. I'm not going to touch my phone. Look, my phone's sitting right here. 32 NFL franchises, let's say each of them have 5 wide receivers. Do you know how many that is overall in the NFL that are on active 53-man rosters? 32 times 5 is what, folks? That is 160 wide receivers. So if you're in the top 2 of 160, why in the Sam heck would you let DeAndre Hopkins go and bring in a running back who was good but then also injured and wildly inconsistent? And where's David Johnson now? So that was an issue, right? So I don't want San Fran to make the same mistake. San Fran's got Deebo Samuel and a bunch of non-household names. So do they say, all right, Pitt, we'll give you Brandon Ayuk, but I want George Pickens, right? Do I really want Van Jefferson? Calvin Austin III, let's see what he can do. But what do they ask for? You know, if I look at San Fran's roster, which I'm looking at right now, and I say to myself, okay, Purdy, you got to look at paying him next year. You brought in a ton of running backs to help out McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. Kyle Juszczyk he's just awesome at fullback, and he doesn't get enough credit. You got Logan Thomas backing up George Kittle. So Cameron Latu is there as well at tight end. And then you look at your offensive line, and you have depth at each position here from what I'm seeing. You lost Eric Armstead to the Jaguars. So do you look at this and say to yourself, like, hey, let's bring in some linebackers? Because they got some injured linebackers right now in Greenlaw and Warner. And then they have Flanagan Fowles without a lot of depth behind him. I'm looking at right now on this depth chart. So do they say to Pittsburgh, okay, we'll give you Brandon Ayuk, but we need a couple of your linebackers. We need to take some of these guys in. Obviously, you're not going to get TJ Watt. So do they ask for some of these other guys and make some moves there? Does San Fran look to help their defense in this move? Do they ask for a young wide receiver in Calvin Austin III and a linebacker in order to make this trade happen? Because San Fran has to win this. It's not all about Brandon Ayuk. And I think if the deal's not getting done, maybe that's a factor. Maybe the factor is that Brandon needs to know it ain't all about you. Like, we're trying to get you somewhere, but we got to get something for this. I'm a business person. If somebody says, gimme, I'm saying, okay, what am I getting in return? If what I'm getting in return is not the value that I'm giving, no thank you, right? You don't work for free. So that's a situation where I think maybe San Fran has to look at getting a wide receiver and a defensive player in return in order to make it make sense and have this all come together. And until that happens, maybe the deal doesn't get done. But right now we're just wasting time because you want to get this guy out there, right? You want to, if Brandon Ayuk is not going to be, if he's going to be a Niner, you don't want him walking around practice. You want him practicing because nothing simulates practice. And what has been proven, when guys don't practice, there's a higher chance that they could end up getting injured. When guys are not going through the motions of the offseason into the preseason and so on and so forth, there's a higher risk of them getting injured because they're not putting their body through it and then they're going right into the game. So Brandon Ayuk, if he's staying a Niner, he needs to practice. If he's not staying a Niner, it needs to happen quick so he can get into this offense of whatever team he's going to be on. Pittsburgh's trying to figure out what they're going to do. I think Justin Fields is already the starter. That's my opinion. I don't think Russell Wilson's the starter. Russell Wilson went from being a Super Bowl champion guy in Seattle to Denver just not working out. It didn't make sense. People want to blame Nate Hackett, but that's not Nate Hackett's fault. Russell Wilson did not do well as a Denver Bronco. I think Russell Wilson is a smoke and mirrors thing, and I think Justin Fields is going to be the starter there. That's what I think is going to happen. That is my opinion. Think about it. They brought in Russ, and then they brought in Justin Fields. Justin Fields, in my opinion, is going to be the guy, and that this thing is just whatever it is. And if it's a contract thing of we can't play him for the first few games in order to protect a pick or money or whatever, then fine, if you want to play that chess game. But ultimately, I think Justin Fields is the starter of the Steelers, and I think if you get Brandon Ayuk, you want Justin out there more than you want Russell Wilson out there, because Russell Wilson is not the Russell Wilson that he used to be. And there's things behind the scenes that I think are kind of maybe coming to fruition now, that Russell Wilson, it's not working out. And they can say that it's an open competition, but my belief is that it's Justin Fields' job to lose, in my opinion. With that being said, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here where sports meets life, I want to thank you for tuning in on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, all around the country and the world, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. And so I thank you for being there and being here with us, whether you're listening or watching. Of course, after the shows go live, they are on the archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Make sure you do that today. Subscribe and follow us. And, of course, you can visit our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York, Heritage Hill Brew House, Heritage Hill North, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Avicoli's, GG Cards and Breaks, Brian's Landing, Servomation Refreshments, which you'll find on colleges and university campuses as well as in your break room, and they are reimagining what it's like to have vending. I wish that I had Servomation when I was going into a room trying to find some food at my place of work growing up, or at college and universities. When I go on to college and university campuses, I'm hoping that they have Servomation, and I proudly work with Binghamton University, who does. Great Lakes Honda City, Pizza Man, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world. Visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, and then visit them at the New York State Fair coming up here very soon. And, of course, Mother's Cupboard. We are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner as well of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You'll find your Dolphins here on Wednesdays during Dolphin Time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, we have stories with student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni, all on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll find your Dolphins there as well as the Lemoyne playlist. You can find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, Fins way up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month in what we call the Bobcat Buzz. Given a spotlight on the Bobcats like no other, you will find men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, baseball, and esports right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse have 2 locations for their campuses. For those of you that want to go to school for the first time or return, if you have extra eligibility, you have a great opportunity inside of the Bryan and Stratton Syracuse Bobcats athletic programs. You can get to them on James Street in Syracuse, as well as right off of Route 57 in Liverpool, across the street from Avicoli's, so you know you'll be eating good. Find them on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the BSC Syracuse playlist. You can also find the Bobcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats call Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, exclusive multimedia marketing partners. Binghamton University has been with us a few months, but with all the stories that we've told, we have jumped out ahead of everything that we promised you. Under promise and over deliver is what we're about here on Wake Up Call, and Binghamton already feels like home. The Binghamton University Bearcats Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide have Bearcat time exclusively on Wake Up Call, and we bring you Moments with Marshall with Gene Marshall, Binghamton University Athletics Director, and a behind-the-scenes look at Binghamton University's athletic programs. And, of course, the Bearcat Break Room with student-athletes, coaches, and administration. Our conversation with Paul Marco this week has been incredible. Don't miss that. It's on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find all of our Bearcats playlists, or all of our Bearcat content in our Binghamton playlist. You can also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com. underneath the exclusive partners tab and on the homepage. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and stay close to all of our social media and our YouTube channel, as I will do a throwback Thursday with Emily Mackay as she gets ready to race in the Olympics, as she has already stepped forward into the next round. Hopefully she'll win today and move forward into the next round. From there, Emily Mackay, my conversations with her coming up today. You don't want to miss those. And of course, watch her in the Olympics this afternoon at 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time in the sport of track. With that being said, I want to thank my incredible guests inside of Ma and Pa's What's Poppin', that being Jeff Traylor, UTSA Roadrunners head football coach inside of the American Athletic Conference, and the VP for Intercollegiate Athletics, the fearless leader of UTSA, who's got big ideas and wants to continue to build, Lisa Campos, who's done an incredible job, and I always love talking with her, and I appreciate and am thankful for the time that we get to spend together. And speaking of appreciating time together, Papa Joe, second to none, talking about Major League Baseball, college football, and the Jacksonville Jaguars today, as we continue to talk about the Jaguars all throughout the year, as that's consistent coverage in Jacksonville for those of you that are in Florida and those of you all across the globe. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. For Jeff, for Lisa, for PJ, and for you, God bless you all. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Make sure you check all of those out, as well as our YouTube channel for my Cuse Camp coverage, interviews with Jeff Nixon, the new offensive coordinator of Syracuse football, new DC Elijah Robinson, as well as head coach Fran Brown. And you'll also hear from, for the first time ever, Jackson Meeks, transfer wide receiver, who I had the opportunity to speak with. You'll hear from running back LaQuint Allen Jr. again, as I've spoken with him over the years. You'll also hear from, I want to make sure I don't miss anybody, I'm trying to think of everyone we talked to here. You'll hear from Cinco, defensive back Elijah Clark, as well. And you'll hear from linebacker Derek McDonald. So all those videos are up on our social media and our YouTube channel. I look forward to talking with you on Friday. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless to Emily Mackay in the Olympics and everybody who's competing. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. God bless. No stress. Do your best. And don't ever let anybody take you down, folks. God is great, and he's got your back. Be a good person. Make up for your mistakes, and step forward with positivity, light, goodness, humility, kindness, and never, ever, ever an eye for an eye. Just keep moving forward, doing good things. Hug the people that want to stab you in the back. Just be good to everybody. I'm not saying allow yourself to be stabbed. And be good, be kind, even when it's hard to be, because God doesn't ask us to be kind when it's easy. He asks us to be kind all the time. So, for the times that I haven't been and the mistakes I've made, including this morning, God, I'm sorry. I love you. I appreciate you. And I thank you for my life. Let's step forward together, and let's give a whole lot of love to a world that deeply needs it. Have a great day. God bless. Take care.